Those little drops of lube in the right places can totally transform the way your bike feels and performs. Hey bike farmers, thanks for clicking in. We got ourselves a basic bike farmer video today. Well, with a little bit of extra. I want to convert this into a comfort bike. This is a, I don't know, maybe late 90s, early aughts Raleigh M50, right? So just run-of-the-mill, back in the day mountain bike. And these are great ATVs, all-terrain bikes. It's got a suspension fork on it. It's kind of a cheap one. Sort of gimmicky, but it still serves a purpose. Softens up the front end a little bit. The biggest problem I have with these bikes is they're pretty uncomfortable, but they make great all-arounders. And so a lot of people will put like skinnier tires on them like this. This rack is atrocious. That's gotta go. This is a nice Surface saddle, but I'm gonna replace it too. The grips and the grip shifters are worn out and ugly. So I've got some parts that I wanna replace for functionality and a lot for aesthetics. These pedals and toe clips, some people like them, but hardly anybody does that anymore. These are cheapo plastic pedals, but they make a huge improvement to the ride. You know, if you're just a casual cyclist, you can use these $15 pedals that you can get on Amazon or whatever. I got some comfort grips. I got some 3x7 shifters here. These are like 15 bucks. You know, these parts aren't expensive. You can just go to Amazon and get this stuff. These are the tires I'm gonna put on. I had these on the shelf. They're 26 by 2.175, so they're nice plump tires, I think, with this. This is kind of an extra large 22-inch big bike, so big tires. It's gonna balance the whole thing out. It's gonna look a lot better. And it's a kind of a slicker tread pattern, so it'll roll nice and fast. But the number one thing we can do is these handlebars. It's a 40-degree sweep. Very, very comfortable, especially when I put a wider saddle. Wider saddle is better for an upright riding position because you kind of get back on your sits bones a little bit. That with the comfort grips and the saddle and the wide pedals, all of those touch points are wider and spread everything out, give you way more support, makes the bike so much more comfortable. I just really like doing this. Just turns these bikes into wonderful comfort ATVs. And that's what my customers want. They just want a bike to ride around, go out on the trail. If they go camping, maybe dabble in the trails a little bit. Just real casual bike use. And that's the target. And I suspect that's most of my viewers too. So I hope you find this video helpful. I don't think there's a whole lot more to say about it. I think it's time to grab a cold drink, kick back, and let's get started. Okay, per the usual, I disconnect the brakes, pop the wheels off. Now these wheels don't match, which usually drives me crazy, but I think this rack is borderline atrocious. So I'm gonna just take her off. Oh, dropped a bolt. Oh, dropped another bolt. These bottle cages are pretty bad too. So we'll just pop those off. Now all these bolts are rusty. So I think we'll clean them up before we put them back in. I just realized that I didn't have audio that whole time. I don't know when I lost it in my struggle, but I am really on the struggle bus this morning, but I'm not giving up on this video. Check that out, okay? So this bike had Presta valves in it. I guarantee you, whoever buys this bike is gonna be completely baffled by Presta valves. They're not gonna understand it. So I'm gonna drill that out. You can see this is already drilled out to Schrader on the inside of the rim, or outside, I don't know what you call that. And but it's pressed on this side. So I just happen to have the drill all set up for it. This is a 5/16 bit. And I just drill it out. And actually there's not a whole lot to deburr here. I think it's pretty good. Try not to get any metal shavings in your tire. I said that for my own benefit. You know, if you think about it, I'm economically incentivized to tell you to put metal shavings inside your tires. You know, think about that. But I don't. Because, say it with me, I'm such a good person. So that would be funnier if I would have had my microphone on the whole time, because I said that before. This is not an easy tire install. But why would it be easy, kids? This bike is not easy. Okay, so 5/16 is not quite enough. So I have a reamer here. So that's what I'm talking about. That's gonna look awesome. And this bike's gonna roll so well. These are great tires. Love that. Nice and round. It's gonna corner like a dream. You know, because you know how dreams corner. Dreams corner like a bike. Like a freshly tuned bike with 2.125 tires on it. Hey, hey, ho, ho, this cassette has got to go. I eat 7-speed cassettes for breakfast. Binge and purge. Oh, look at that. This is an 8, 9, 10 speed. Shall we maybe make a change? This is a replacement wheel. Let's think about that while we change the tire. What should we do here? It's got an STX rear derailleur, but the chain's off and everything, so I can put any derailleur that I have in the bin on it. So I could put a 9-speed derailleur on there. I'd probably shift just fine with a triple on that. Put a 9-speed on that old Alivio. Is it gonna run into problems with shifting? I doubt it. I have some 3x9 shift lever combo things that I've had for 8 years that I haven't been able to sell. Brand new, that I could use. Get them off the shelf, because every time I see them, I chuckle, because they're part of my very first part order when I started my bike business, thinking that I would be replacing 3x9 shifter brake lever combos at some point, and it hasn't happened in 8 years. And I could use them here, and then I could use a 9-speed cassette and chain, which is a little more expensive, but who cares? I'm losing my ass on this bike anyway. I think that's the plan. What do you think? Shall we? And then, I mean, this bike could just be like new everything. It's a good video. This is good content. I hope you guys realize that. I hope you realize this is good content. You think my wife's in the other room listening to me, like, oh my God, I can't believe this is what he does with his time. He just sits in there and talks to a camera. Oh my goodness. What an improvement. So just when I think I haven't gotten any dumber, this says clearly 3x9. And you can see how worn this box is. And it's got this original, I used to do these barcode stickers, and like, it's unbelievable what I used to think my bike business would be and what it is today. But anyway, it says clearly 3x9 on it, but what's in here is 3x8. I mean, what? It says 8-speed right on it. I must have taken these off of something or swapped them out and forgotten. But it's been years, and I could have used these 40 times over the years, because 8-speed is way more popular than 9-speed. In my world, at least. In most worlds, I believe. I don't think I'm in the same world as most people a lot of the time. Doesn't feel like it, at least. So, we'll make an 8-speed bike, you know, because I'm just going to get rid of these levers today, now that I've decided. I mean, I suppose I could put them on something and actually charge for them, but I'm in too deep. I'm way in too deep. But I got all this housing, new cables, you know, might as well. Muzzle do it. Muzzle do it. I love the look of my workbench. I think it's always great looking. And I just like kind of cleaned it. Eli cleans it every day. This is the bench that he works at during the day when the shop's open. And so now I come down in the morning, it's all nice and clean, and then I mess it all up for him. Because I'm a terrible boss. I'm a really good person, but I'm a terrible boss. Yeah, he probably hates working for me. He likes my videos though, so that's good. Anyway, dork disc, of course. And then back in the pandemic, we bought whatever cassettes we could get our hands on. So I got a bunch of these 28 tooth 8-speed cassettes. That this bike has a really small front chainring. 1-to-1 ratio is good enough on this bike. Around here. This will go to somebody local who's just gonna cruise around with the kids on glacial drumlin, that kind of thing. Don't need anything super low. So this will be great. I think that looks really nice. It all looks really new. It's gonna present well. It's all that's needed. 1000% good enough for who it's for. Okay, put the wheel in here and get started on a little bit of a rant probably, huh? You guys wanna hear me talk for a few minutes? Let's talk about the word upgrade. So we just went from 7-speed to 8-speed because we discovered that this is actually an 8-speed hub. 8, 9, and 10-speed all use the same free hub. Now, I could have left the spacer in there and, you know, kept this bike a 7-speed, but I was replacing the shifters anyway. So basically the door opened wide, everything opened wide. The door became wide open, the door of opportunity, where I could do whatever I want with this bike. I can make it a 10-speed bike if I wanted, right? 8, 9, 10, all have the same free hub. Now, a lot of people, I see it in comments, on forums, in general, people would say, oh, can we upgrade to 8-speed? And yeah, sure, isn't that essentially what I'm talking about? Is it the door is wide open for opportunity to do whatever I want, is what I said. But I didn't say the door is wide open to upgrade, because I don't believe that going from 7-speed to 8-speed, or from 8-speed to 9-speed, or from 7-speed to 10-speed, or any of that is actually an upgrade. I just don't believe it. Now, it's making a change to the bike. Maybe you're accomplishing something, but just simply adding speeds certainly is not an upgrade at this level of cycling. You know, the only thing more speeds does is give you smaller increments between gears. That becomes important when you're pace lining in a group, like a road bike ride. That's about it. I think that's about it, is pace lining is the only time it ever can come into play. You know, if you know something that I don't, please let me know. But I certainly can't for the life of me imagine why it would be an upgrade, except because the marketers have told us that it's sold to us as an upgrade. And as a retailer, I'm expected to sell it to you as an upgrade. Now, for me, I think 8-speed bikes are the most common out there, right? So as far as cheap parts, used parts, do it yourself, whatever, it's just 8-speed is the sweet spot. 3x8, I think, for practical bikes, for practical people, that's the sweet spot. So 3x8. Now, for selfish reasons, I was going to make it 3x9, but that's just because I thought I had those shifters in stock, old stock, that'd be a nice bike to get rid of them on. You know, I can put on the tag, new everything, and like, you know, when I'm selling this bike, I can explain, like, everything on this bike has been replaced. You know, these are the reasons, there's a video, all of that. But I can't say, oh, when we, you know, you'll see in the video, we upgraded from 3x7 to 3x8. I would never call it an upgrade. I don't sell 8-speed bikes for more than 7-speed bikes. I mean, not for that reason. Generally speaking, the 7-speed bikes are a little bit older and lower end, right? So just in general, I don't get as much money for them because they're just not quite as robust, as nice. Yeah, you're gonna find really nice 8-speed stuff, but I can't say that we've upgraded this bike. We've just changed it. It's just a change, and I do believe it's an improvement. So in that sense, it could be, the word upgrade could be justified, but I'm not buying it. I do think that if you're talking like 2x11, 105, up to 2x11 Ultegra, which is not even a thing anymore, it's all 2x12 or whatever, but it's all changed now. But you know, when you're jumping, if you have the same exact thing and then you're going from like 105 to Ultegra to Dura Ace or whatever, and even Ultegra to Dura Ace, I just think it's a different animal. I mean, it's an upgrade, but only in a racing environment. In general, it is an upgrade. You save a little bit of weight. Sometimes there's a feature or two that actually is practical. That kind of stuff matters. But it's pretty hard to convince me of an upgrade. I think if you switch from any kind of like SRAM, Shimano major component to a boutique component like Paul or something like that, that's an upgrade. You know, go from, you know, mass produced to like handmade factory stuff is an upgrade. So that's my upgrade rant. We're just gonna kind of do the same thing to this front wheel that we did to the rear. Clean it and true it up a little bit. Hey bike farmers, I just wanted to take this lull in the action to let you know how much I appreciate that you've clicked in to watch this video. Now that I've been at it a little bit, I'm starting to learn why everybody's always asking for more. The AdSense money is just barely enough to make it worth starting a channel. If I want to sustain this for the long term, I'm going to need everyone's help. Now don't get me wrong, your attention is enough. Don't feel obligated to give more, but I've tried to make it as easy as possible. You can always click the super thanks, that's the heart with the $ in the middle of it, or consider a monthly membership. The monthly membership will give you a little star next to your name, and if you have any questions, you can ask them in the comments. I'll see the star, and when I see it, I'll definitely give you an answer. You'll also have access to a little more behind the scenes action that non-members can't see. With all that said, thank you so much, and let's get back to some bikes. This is a Shimano STX rear derailleur. That's what it says there. And the STX was a 7-speed group set, and then they came out with STX RC, which is an 8-speed group set. Now, I have a hard time believing that this derailleur won't work with 8-speed shifters. I don't know enough about it to speak intelligently on the matter. However, experience tells me, and my gut, is that this is gonna work just fine. We're gonna have to change the limit screws, because we took out a gigantic spacer and whatever, but probably just the low limit, which I can see the low limit screw is turned in quite a bit. So here, let's just guess. Let's do a wild guess. And because the spacing between 7 and 8 is the same. So we just have to get this derailleur to push it over one more gear. That's all we gotta do. So I just back that out that much. See if we can reach that low gear. Because all the other ones should be the same, I believe, is how that works. So I'm gonna leave it on there. I was gonna replace it, but the only thing I would be able to replace it with is a brand new derailleur, and you know, I'm already in too deep. And there's nothing wrong with that derailleur. I love those derailleurs. And these brakes here are dry as a bone. So we're gonna drop a little bit of tri-flow down in there. Oh man, that's one of those things that the feel, how this feels, I wish it translated to video, but it just went from gooey and sticky and kind of grungy to slicker than snot on a doorknob. Those are the smallest things you can do that make the biggest difference. Those little drops of lube in the right places can totally transform the way your bike feels and performs. And like these little rusty spots, just in general, you just drop a little bit of tri-flow. You know, a little bottle of tri-flow like this is only a few bucks. I have affiliate links for all this stuff. But for most of this regular stuff I use, you can find a link for it. I'll get that 32 cents. Good time to clean the frame. Hey bike farmers, a quick note. If you're looking to get serious about fixing bikes at home, look no further than the Park Tool AK5 toolkit. I have an affiliate link in the description. This kit provides all the basic tools you'll need to tune up just about any of the bikes that you see on this channel. It also comes with the Big Blue Book of Bicycle Repair written by Calvin over at Park Tool. Also in the description are affiliate links for all the basic things that I use. The grease, the degreaser, the one step, the Dawn Power Wash, Behold. If you see anything else that I don't already have a link for, let me know in the comments so I can add it. I hope these affiliate links will help encourage you to take this on as a hobby or even start flipping bikes for a living like I do. I feel like we're ready for a rear wheel. That is really good, folks. All right, I'm gonna replace these brake pads. I'm kind of guessing on, yeah, let me finish that sentence here in a split second. These brake pads have two spacers. They have wide spacers and skinny spacers. And depending on where you put them, right, these can all be moved around. But it goes spacer, what do you call that? A concave, convex washer, concave spacer, washer, nut. It always goes in that order, but you can switch those to get your brake calipers in the right position and to get your pads hitting a little more square. And it's like having two settings on your brake pads. And I always knew about that. I don't know, just inherently, I think I just understood that. But the guy that worked for me for like 5 years, it was like in his 5th year, and I explained that to him and it blew his mind. He's like, oh my God, I've never even considered that, which is shocking because he was a very mechanical dude and really smart and everything, but it escaped him. So I thought I'd share that with you. So they all come with the wider spacer towards the pad, and I can kind of eyeball it now that I've done enough bikes as to which way it wanted to go. But as long as most of the time you can look at the pads you're taking off, and however those were set will work. And even with this bike, even with the wider spacer, I could even use a little bit wider spacer for it to be to my liking, but we don't always get what we want in this business. It's fun to be in a profession that is so, I don't know what, there's so much lack of respect for, like, I don't know, we've just totally tarnished our reputation or whatever, you know, like bike mechanics. We've alienated an entire world somehow, you know, these beautiful, amazing, incredible machines that really solve so many of society's problems and provide so many good things to enhance the human experience. You know, they just create so many smiles. Just wonderful, wonderful machines, incredible. One of my favorite things about being human is the ability to ride a bicycle, fix a bicycle, deal with bicycles. Yet, just because it's my favorite thing, riding a bicycle on the road, I'm an asshole. Being a bike mechanic, I'm an asshole, you know? I don't know, it's weird. Thankfully, I have this YouTube channel because you guys, I mean, aside from the obvious assholes in the comments, but overwhelmingly, you guys make me feel really, really good about doing this. So I very much appreciate all of your kind words. The most surprising and most gratifying part of what I consider success on YouTube has been all of the support from all of you. And the visits, I've had some wonderful visits, met some great people, and it's only gonna get better. So thank you, I mean that. I'm very grateful for it. I'm not as grumpy as I like to think I am. Can't be, it won't let me. I wish everyone had that. Makes me wanna be a better person. Okay, look at that. We have a bicycle. Let's expound on all of that for a second. So, you get people, like Lou Reed, My Life Was Saved by Rock and Roll. Great song. And people are like, oh, rock and roll saved my life. Bicycles saved my life. I hear these sorts of things sometimes and I'm like, oh, that's hyperbole. Clearly it's gotta be hyperbole. Like it's a big thing to say. Like how bicycles saved your life, like what, You were so miserable that you're gonna end it all because of whatever reasons, and then you discovered cycling and it gave you a reason to live. Or you discovered rock and roll and it gave you a reason to live. Okay, I think about that and, it does seem a little far-fetched. It's like it didn't save your life, like you weren't drowning and it didn't throw you a buoy to grab onto, right? But it sort of did. And then I think about myself, and this is where I'll get a little personal, but I've been sober for 12 years now or something like that. And it's not like I was like this, dying in the gutter alcoholic type guy. I was just a, run-of-the-mill Wisconsinite who likes to drink too much. And it became a problem. And so I did something about it. And I'm one of the lucky ones that was able to do something about it, and it stuck. And sobriety suited me, and I've just been sober since. And it was a big journey, and my whole life kind of unraveled, and divorce and, all of the stuff, right? Financial troubles and, this and that. And when I emerged out of the swamp, like I like to say, like the turtle on my shoulder here, as I emerged from that swamp is when I really did some soul searching, and I finally pulled my head out of my ass and realized that all I wanted to do was fix bicycles. Okay, and of course, it was a split second for you and forever for me. I ran out of room on the SD card. But as I was saying, I realized it had to be bikes, which didn't make a whole lot of sense, because how the hell is that gonna work? But somehow I made it work. And since then, I've just lived the most satisfying life I've never imagined. Like, I just didn't even really know that any of it was possible like this. And it's not just the bikes and just the bike business and whatever, but I met my wife and, fell in love and all this stuff, and my kids have grown up, and that's been very rewarding and exciting. I mean, the other great things have happened, but really it's the working with bikes and making bikes my life that has been absolutely transformational. In a sense, like if I'd have kept drinking, I'd either end up dead or in jail probably, just the way I was doing it. If I didn't have the bikes, maybe I'd still be miserable, and that could lead to drinking and dead or in jail. So maybe it's not hyperbole for me to say the bicycle saved my life. I mean, I can't say for sure, but I'm kind of done with the whole, when people say stuff like that, thinking, yeah, right, like that's kind of my gut, just because I'm kind of like that. I'm skeptical, I'm a skeptical guy. That's how important bikes are to me, when I really think it through too much and share it with everybody in the world on YouTube. And so, now that I have the channel and I get to share this passion and what I consider success with all of you, and then I get that feedback from you where people are saying I've inspired them to do their own bikes or take a certain leap or make that ride or whatever, I'm like, wow. That's extraordinarily gratifying. Like, I've never experienced that in my life. I've never gotten that much credit for anything I've done. The last 9 months since, dropped my wrench. The last 9 months since I monetized the channel and put out the Why Are Bicycle Mechanics Such Assholes video have been very transformational. Very important to me. I just can't thank you all enough for making it possible. And I just grabbed a brake lever when I wanted to press a shift lever. And it's unbelievable how this video has gone for me. Audio issues, bike issues, SD card filling up issues. There's a lot trying to knock me off my game right now. But nobody gonna break my stride. Nobody gonna slow me down. Oh no. I gotta keep on moving. And I gotta keep on moving because I do these videos in the morning before the shop opens up at 10 o'clock. Because when the shop opens up at 10 o'clock, we got my guy Eli needing his bench to take care of my custies, which allows me to go do other things. Edit video, go for bike rides, take care of other shop business, play a little golf. One of these days I'm gonna make a golf video, see how that goes. I almost wanna start a second channel, but there's a million golf channels out there. I don't know how I'd break in. There's a couple that I've found that are just fantastic. I mean, people that have made a life on YouTube with golf, doing it their own way. It's pretty cool. It's inspiring. Yeah, you wouldn't know what to look at me, but golf is my other passion. So I'm doing a lot of work here from a distance and a lot of yapping, but I hear from some of you that you like the yapping, so this one's for you. Okay, got a little bit of hairspray and some grips. It's always a good idea to put the grips on before you tighten your levers down so you know you get them in the right spot. Then again, I always end up adjusting the angles of them and that sort of thing when the bike is done and on the ground. So we're really just guessing at the angles right now because it's hard to get a good idea of how the bike sits in real life. But there we go. Okay. Pretty good, pretty good. So with our kit, our shifters, we got this really nice Shimano M system cable and housing. Make a good guess there and cut that. So when you cut it, it leaves a burr. And I don't know if you can see it, it's kind of hard. But I just kind of cut the burr off with the diagonal cutter. Okay, I just cut a new piece for the back part of the V-brake. Oh baby, feels good. Oh, there we go. So we got everything replaced on this bike and it's going together much better than how it came apart. So that's good. There's so many new parts. I mean, I've never really done it where I like add everything up, consider my costs. To be honest with you folks, like I can get parts through distribution, right? You know, I've got a legitimate business going here, so I have access to the parts distributors, get everything at wholesale and so on. But a lot of the stuff that I do in this video, the price difference between what I get it for from the distributor and what you could buy it for on Amazon is a couple of bucks. I mean, it's not much. So I really haven't shown you any brake adjustment stuff. I just kind of did the rear one quick because it was only off by a little bit. But I like to pull the cable just as tight as possible. So I don't like when the boot bunches up like that. It kind of gives the brake a little bit of a mushier feel, I think. But it's not the end of the world. And you can see my brake tension's really good, just as is. Okay, so that brake pad was a little loose. I did not install it. I'm glad I checked it. I mean, I don't think I installed it. These are brake pads that I use, so, and I don't really remember where this bike came from. Oh, it just slipped. So new housing, new cables. It's good to kind of stress things in the stand. Try to stretch the cable out as much as possible, compress the housing. Just really hit the extremes now, and then the bikes don't come back as quickly. Try to accelerate the break-in period, I should say. Brake feels a little bit tight, but I have a few threads left in the barrel adjuster up at the lever, so, but that's really good. That feels excellent, but a little loose. Sorry, pardon my reach here. I know I'm kind of covering up the action. That's the easiest way to do it. Really good. I've been using Woody Charleston to install chains, and I'm kind of doing this at a weird angle today just because that's how it's ended up. But in general, being able to sit down to install a chain instead of kneeling has just been a nice little thing I've been doing for myself lately. It's the little things in life. You know, if you are building out a little bike shop or whatever, I'd recommend getting yourself a good chair. Maybe it's a stool, you know, it seems like shops have stools. Oh, where's my chain tool? So when I size a chain, what I'm doing is I'm putting it in the little gear back here and the little gear up here, and then I pull the two ends of the chain together just when the derailleur starts to fight back a little bit and give the system a little tension. So when the chain's in its shortest position in little and little, the derailleur is still holding things taut, and you don't get as much flippity flappity wackiness going around. It's a little trick. You can go back, and that's the quick link, then it pulls it. So I don't know, I probably could have taken one more link out. Yeah, should I do it? That's the number one dork disc thing I see in the comments, you know, these know-it-all guys that are like, well, you don't need a dork disc if your limit screws are set. And, you know, the fact of the matter is, like, yeah, I know that, you know that, like, that's great. But we're the 1% of the population that knows what a derailleur limit screw does and would care to think about it. And like most of the time, like I don't think I'm excluded from this. Like we don't know when our derailleur hanger is bent and is gonna overshift that chain. You know, like it usually happens on accident and you don't realize it. So it's a safety measure. But my point is that most people don't think mechanically about things. They don't care. They just want to push the button and have the bike shift. So let's give them the best chance of that happening in their lives. The other ridiculous comment that just is so absolutely ridiculous and condescending is the assertion that as a bike mechanic or as a shop owner or a salesman or something, that when somebody's buying a bike, that it's my job to educate them on how to ride it properly, use it properly, and understand it, and so on. And I'm telling you, from years and years and years of experience, if somebody doesn't understand things mechanically or care to understand things mechanically, some people just don't have the ability to understand things mechanically. They don't want to know, they don't care, they're not going to be able to get it, and I certainly am not going to be able to teach them in that split-second moment when they're buying a bike and considering all of the other things that go along with buying a bike, like how does it feel, how does it fit, can I afford it, you know, all of those things that are part of the sale. And from where I sit, I'm not just trying to sell them something. What I want to do is get them excited about a bike because I firmly believe it's going to improve their life. And I want to give them the best chance, the easiest. I don't want to give them any more barriers. I don't want them feeling like they have to understand it somehow in order to enjoy it. So I'd rather send them out not knowing exactly how to milk every single advantage out of their experience and just give them a chance to go for a bike ride. And so I try not to get in their way by making it, you know, by becoming a know-it-all, mansplaining everything. Well, actually, so that assertion that it's our job to teach people is totally incorrect. If that's important to you, great. You know, set up a bike school or whatever you think you need to do to teach people how to do it right, and prove me wrong. So many good rants this morning. Whew. just got so many good rants this morning. It really feels good to get all this off my chest. I've got this super extra fancy cable tip pliers from Park Tool, just to add a little bit more cost to this build, make it slightly less profitable by using an unnecessary but amazing tool. Okay, we are incredibly close to having a finished bike here, I think. Watching it shift here. Oh, look at that. Almost just exactly perfect on that guess with the limit screw. Yeah, what, a turn or two out. It's indexing great. Okay, so something that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hold the derailleur and then grab the cable and just stretch, and I'm stretching the cable and compressing the housing. Trying to create that, look at that, all that slack there. And then I can pull it out with the barrel adjuster. Yeah, I mean, this 8-speed stuff just indexes so well. All right, and then up here, which is interesting, right? Because we had a 111 millimeter spindle in here before, and we went to a 113, which brings this out, but we're still rubbing here. So that's a limit screw too. We're gonna back out the low limit screw just a little bit, get it to stop rubbing. Cable's now a little tight, but we can probably stretch it. Gotta be careful, that's a good way to bend things. And that's really good. So now, because we changed the bottom bracket, the limit screws on the front derailleur are off a smidge too. Just the bottom bracket was different. Technically it's longer, but it's behaving as if it was shorter. So who knows? But I'm gonna check high gear, no rubbing. Shifting into middle, shifting into low. Cables are stretched. Nothing's rubbing. Nothing's rubbing. God, that's good. Really good. This is fantastic. I think I'm gonna order some, well, or maybe I can find some red touch-up paint. You know, I need bright red touch-up paint. Nail polish works, but just Tester's enamel paint is a really good touch-up paint. You know, the hobby paint, you can get little markers on Amazon pretty cheap. You can see this is the old, this is old, and this is where that sticker was. They were hiding that chip. Fooled me, you know, but clean it up a little bit with some steel wool and then degrease it and put some red paint on there. Look what I just found. It says gloss red right on there. Let's do this. Isopropyl alcohol. Clean it up a little bit there. This has been sitting for years, so who knows what this is gonna do for us. All right, you ready, folks? It's kind of more like Mars red. I'm not trying to fool anybody here. This is just to keep some rust at bay and, you know, just make it look a little better. Not pulling one over on anybody. It's a used bike with lots of new parts on it. Very serviceable, very rideable, kind of ugly. This would be an amazing, like, college bike, you know, on campus. Commuter bike in any city. Yeah, that's definitely not gloss red. That's like orange, Mars red. That's what Volkswagen calls it, Mars red. I had a Mars red Beetle for a hot minute. Okay, there's our bike on the ground. Now, I like these bars at this angle. Little bit of an angle down, you know, back sweep, down sweep. That's where your hands are most comfortable. Really good right there. I'm not gonna touch it. Bars are centered. My levers aren't at a terrible angle. That fork still feels good. Okay, big problem here is the saddle angle. You can see it's gonna find its way right up someone's butt crack. And most people aren't looking for that out of their bicycle. Little bit of angle up works out most of the time, in most cases, when you've got an upright handlebar position and you're sitting back on the bike like this. Believe it or not, it's a little counterintuitive. Most people don't believe it, but it's almost all my upright bikes are like that, and even my road bikes, I have a little bit of an angle up. It works for me, might not work for you. Man, my guess on how straight the stem should be was really good. I'm not gonna touch that either. Take a little bit of tri-flow and drop it in a few key spots. Whew, that front end is gonna sell the bike. It's very squishy. It's got a really fast rebound, which you mountain bikers would be like, no way. Oh man, that is comfortable. Wow, what a journey. This one was not anything like I expected. I thought I was gonna get 2 bikes done this morning. I've been at this for 3 hours, something like that. Needed way more work than I expected. I replaced so many parts on this bike. What have we got here? New tubes and tires, new chain, new cassette, spoke protector, bottom bracket, pedals, all cables and housing, brake levers, shift levers, handlebars, and grips. Should we just go through real quick, just gut check. Cables and housing, 30 bucks. Grips 10, so that's 40. Handlebars 20, 60. $40 on the saddle, 100 bucks. These tires you could probably find for 30 bucks a piece. And tubes, so that's 80, so we're at 180. 25 for a chain, 30 for a cassette. So some brake pads, pedals, bottom bracket. I mean, 350 in parts, whatever in labor. I mean, $90 an hour labor is what a lot of shops around here charge, and ish times 3. I mean, there's no way I'm making money on this bike, right? However, it made a good video, right? So thank you so much. If you've watched this far, that's the #1 way you can support this channel. The algorithm pays attention to that. I get paid more when you watch. So thank you so much. However, as I've said, and you should know, the AdSense money isn't enough to live on. So the super thanks, that's the heart with the $sign in it. You can send me a few bucks that way, or even better yet, consider a sustaining monthly membership. That's like, a lot of channels will tell you to go to Patreon. You can do that right here in YouTube with a membership. And what else? Like and subscribe if you haven't, to do that. For yourself though, you can click the notification bell, and that way you and your bike can stay tuned. Okay, so this is Glenn, and literally I finished this bike 10 minutes ago, and he showed up at the shop, first customer of the day, and he brought his Royce Union from Walmart to be fixed, and I'm like, I can't do it. I feel bad about taking your money. And we tried a couple of bikes and put him on this, and it was like a match made in heaven. So here he is. He's gonna go buy a trail pass and go ride up and down the Glacial Drumlin all day long now. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is great. Unbelievable. Super fun.